In this episode, it's a duel of opportunity as the Luke division uncovers some secrets beneath Goha. Hey there, my name is Rex, episode 72 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens, and like I said, this one we're going to be focusing on Luke and Luke's division, which, as we find out, more officially or more confirmation, nothing's exactly going on. As the newspaper club comes to interview him because, well, obviously, you know, a Goha student now becoming an employee of the company, getting his own division, but there's really nothing to do. They just hang around all day, which is hilarious. I love it, especially that he's got Yoshio and Swirly with him, just following him around. But while outside, they actually run into Hunt as well, who's on his own after he says, you know, he got into a fight with the rest of his club, his friends, and he himself hasn't found a fusion monster and has run out of, you know, cards to turn into maximum monsters. So he's looking for the next opportunity. And, you know, it is always funny with Hunt just being, you know, as young and small as he is, just basically being one of the most devious characters in the show, almost a villain. But he joins them and decides to help them to, you know, I guess just find something to do. So that leads them underneath Goha, and they find an old factory. And in this factory is a card printing machine, which, you know, I think is pretty neat because, you know, you get to see just kind of some of the old stuff. They find out it still works, although the cards that it prints are older, and it needs some work to get them to be the newer ones and more legal. And they have some fun printing their own cards with just weird effects. And, you know, I think this is just a funny thing because it's like, well, you know, obviously this is something they would do if they found a card printing machine, just make a bunch of cards, just not seriously. However, Hunt realizes, like, oh, you know, this is a business opportunity basically to print whatever they want. He can make however many maximums or fusions he wants, of course, for his own personal gain. At this point, Bakuro, of course, you know, the head of the newspaper club, decides to duel against him, and so that's the setup for the duel. And again, you know, a duel that you really wouldn't expect, but interesting nonetheless. So you got the Truth and Justice reporter against the scum, basically the scummy business kid with a nose for money and gold. So interesting duel. It doesn't last very long though, as starting on Bakuro's turn, he summons a few monsters, which are, you know, his little machine monsters, and he ends the turn with two of what's the monster's name? It was News Flash Tough-Roid, I believe it was. You know, an interesting little monster. He uses the effect once, which is pretty neat though, because it ends up coming back later, and it kind of sticks with the whole theme of all these news monsters that he has. So it allows him to reveal the top 5 cards of his opponent's deck, or yeah, top 5 cards of the deck after like discarding one, and from there, however many monsters are revealed, his monster gains certain attack points, and then the 5 cards revealed are placed on the bottom of the deck, and you know that ends up coming back later. But through this, he's able to get another one in the grave, summon it back. You know, pretty neat little plays. However, onto Hunt's turn, he just summons his maximum monster, which, you know, you forget that he has that, and really it just kind of shows just how threatening Hunt is. I mean, you know, he hasn't really won since, but just the fact that he's running around making all these deals, getting all this money through different means, and has a maximum monster, one of the few characters that have it. You know, Yuga still has his maximum monster after fixing it, repairing it, but just the fact that this kid has it. You know, on the other hand, I guess, you know, basically any character can have a fusion monster, although like Hunt said from the beginning of the episode, he doesn't. So he needs to have his maximum monster. So he summons it out, the Imperial Dino Carriage, which is pretty crazy. And so he has it destroy all of Bakuro's monster, attack directly for 3,400, I think it was. And so it seems like he's in the lead. Now back onto Bakuro's turn. He's able to get back in the game, summoning 2 monsters, and he summons out there's one card that's very different from the rest of his monsters, Reporter Raccoon, but nonetheless, it's a pretty cool card, very well designed card. But this monster's got an effect that helps him out. It lets him send it to the grave. It sends itself to the grave to summon back the Tough-Roid monster. And so now he activates his fusion spell, which again, the whole thing of like, you know, anyone can have a fusion, although apparently not Hunt. Hunt was just unlucky in that sense, but it's like, you know, come on, man, you got a maximum monster. But now Bakuro summons his new monster. It was Rumbling Report Warship. I think that was it. But this one's also got a neat effect, or an interesting effect as well. He has another spell card, though, that works with cards from the bottom of the deck, revealing the with Hunt's deck, right? Reveal the 5 bottom cards of the deck, and for every monster, it inflicts damage, inflicts a certain amount of damage. So it being the 5 cards, the 5 monsters that were from the top of the deck put to the bottom, it inflicts 2,000 damage, and then afterwards those 5 cards from the bottom are put back on the top. And then now the Reporter Warship has an effect that reveals the top 7 cards of his deck, and for every monster that's revealed, a certain amount of attack points is subtracted from his monster. So it's pretty neat, just seeing his whole deck is relatively consistent with this strategy in revealing cards from the opponent's, the top of their deck or the bottom of their deck, so that you can loop them. So that, you will know if there are monsters on the top or the bottom, depending on which effect you use. So I think that's just really neat how that all ties together. But that allows Bakuro to then be able to attack over Hunt's monster and defeat him, and so that's it. Kind of a neat little duel. A shorter one, and again against 2 characters that I don't think we're super invested in, but just getting to see a maximum monster come back and a brand new fusion monster again. Better establishing that literally anyone can have a fusion monster. So and that saves them from Hunt doing whatever greedy thing he would with a printer. But after this, I like that Luke kind of steps up, because technically Luke has the most seniority out of everyone there. He's supervising everyone else there, and so now he comes over to Hunt and tells him, hey, instead of having a dream of living a lavish lifestyle, all this money, why don't you work for me and you'll see what a real dream is. And I just kind of like that moment that Luke had kind of sort of taken a backseat. On one hand, he was definitely not on the same side as Hunt when it came to using the card printer to just print a bunch of cards. Luke very obviously was totally fine with just having his own custom card just for fun. So I just kind of like that, how that was done, even though he wasn't doing a whole lot in this episode. However, now after the duel, there's a bunch of rumbling, and some of the building comes down, destroys the card printer. So, okay, at least that's off the table. You don't have to worry about that happening. But they do find in the debris, with some of the debris, an ID card. And this is the biggest thing of the episode. It's a Goha ID card that says Yuga. Yuga Goha is a president. So seemingly this is just the confirmation that we needed, that we've been waiting for, I guess. And I guess it kind of makes some sense now. The whole cliffhanger of like, Yuga doesn't find out immediately, but these other characters find out after they're kind of snooping around underground. And it would make sense because, if you're hiding something like that, you would want to hide, underground with a bunch of just old obsolete technology. So seemingly Goha is the 6th sibling, confirmed question mark. The thing is, though, I don't trust it. I don't trust anything, any reveals like this, because it could be just completely turned around next episode. But I think it's looking pretty good at this point, because there have been a lot of other clues, a lot of other things, and like I was saying with the last review, how that's probably what they're kind of building towards, just establishing all these characters in Goha. And again, there being a character like Nanaho, who is from Yuga's past, and just the fact that Yuga himself has gotten a position at Goha, that's prime time to reveal him as the 6th sibling. So there's that. But pretty neat episode, big reveal at the end, but we'll see where things go from there. And I think that is kind of the final, the nail in the coffin for the Yuga theory, which I guess I was kind of sticking with recently. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think that this is definitely the confirmation for Goha being the 6th sibling, or do you think there'll be some shenanigans? And what do you think of this episode as a whole? I thought this was a neat one as well. Definitely not a bad one at all. I just it was focusing on a lot of characters not typical to the ones we normally do. But again, the last few episodes, or at least the one focusing on Roman, one focusing on Gakuto, were kind of like that as well. So it just makes sense for this one to be Luke. So I've liked these last 3 episodes. Just we're getting to see more of the original cast, just in their new settings. Although this one, it wasn't super focused on Luke. But then again, the whole last arc, the end of the last arc, he was a big part of it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We'll continue the discussion down there. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe, show your support, stick around for new videos. But anyway, this has been Rex. Have a nice day.